retire. You can't not take a rematch clause. Didn't you see Tyson Fury go to court? Didn't you see Andy Ruiz? What are you talking about?
Boom. So he might retire. So boom, you just there you go, man. You broke through that wall, man. You was able to open your mind up.
I gotta go, man. I gotta go. You sound crazy right now.
He might retire. He might retire. He might retire. That's what it is, and not take the rematch. Might retire.
All right, bro. Everybody heard your call, I guess. That shit sound weird. What is he talking about? I'm so lost right now. Like, why would Bud retire? What in the fuck? If you won, why would you retire? I'm just so lost, man. What's going on? But looks like we got Will Nino. How you pronounce your last name, champ?
Holcomb.
Holcomb.
Good morning, guys. Yeah.
Good morning.
William
Good morning.
Holcomb.
So you're from Chicago?
Chicago, Illinois.
All right. So what got you started in the boxing?
I kind of fell into boxing at an early age, kind of in my high schoolish years. But I never really got a chance to compete. So if you're familiar with Chicago, if you've ever been to the land, we have Chicago Park districts, and they're really good at creating recreation and leisure spaces throughout the city. So there are a few gyms that hold gym spaces. So there are a few key spots throughout the city, and I got started at Davis Square on the south side of Chicago.
So
yo,
go ahead.
I wanted to ask because I'm from the city. I thought those got closed down though, so they're still going. Because I remember George was like, bro, advocating. He was, he had the park, and I thought they shut him down. The city shut him down.
It kind of seems like that. Honestly, there are still a few gyms throughout the city. A lot of people come and don't have access to spaces, so they kind of ask me as far as like boxing spaces. There are a few small boxing communities throughout the Chicagoland still. I know that was an issue at one point. A lot of gyms were kind of run down, or it seemed like they were closing. But Chicago Park District still upholds a lot of the spots through the city, and they hold park districts at most of them. So again, some people might not even know that there's a boxing gym or space around them.
No, definitely. I think that's why I'm asking. I think that's important. I recently saw Sean Simpson. I believe he took over a Chicago Park District boxing gym, and unfortunately, what Sean has gone through, is part of the sport of boxing. But I love that he's still keeping the Chicago boxing program alive. How important is it for you, obviously being from the city and trying to make it out of Chicago?
To me, it's huge, man. Again, shout out to Sean for taking over that Fuller's space. I think we need more of that. It also brings kind of an awareness to it. Like I said, a lot of people don't have access to boxing. So it brings a lot of awareness to the space. Sorry, what was the question again? Let me backtrack. You were saying how important is that kind of community base?
No, yeah, I mean just for you individually to be able to put on for the city specifically with boxing, because it's something that we don't really see. I'm from the city, and for me, like I was just in Rosemont covering the Bobby Hit show, because it's like, bro, we need coverage, we need exposure, we need to get names out there, So right now there's a few names, and there has been a few names the last few years. Josh Greer definitely had his run. Nate Gallimore had his run. Yeah. Kenny Sims doing the fucking thing. Jessica McCaskill, she put it on, but it ain't nobody that's really took it there. I'm just curious if that's something you plan to do.
Valid. Yes, fully. I think my situation is unique. I didn't grow up in a boxing family. I didn't have a lot of boxing experts and expertise around me. I kind of got my start, like I said, in high school, and through my own tenacity and experience, my course of life, I found spaces that have been willing to hone me and let me hone my skills. I think community is a huge part of my platform and my brand, because people really know me in the city. Again, prior to boxing and being that kind of service-oriented guy, I think I pull a lot of people with me versus trying to push everything. So yeah, I think the community base is a huge part of what I'm doing. And then I also try to give access to people, like I said, and awareness for those that don't know about boxing, or aren't familiar with boxing, or don't know how they can see boxing in their own city. So that's been a huge piece for me.
What's the end goal for you?
The end goal, world champion and open my own gym at some point. Spend time again giving back, creating these services throughout the city and training upcoming fighters, kind of like I'm doing now. I work with a lot of amateurs when I'm moving around the city. I know some professionals throughout this city. So yeah, my end goal is continue to push Nino boxing, which is more of a community service oriented field. I want everybody to feel inclusive with boxing. Boxing is a real inaccessible space. So again, bringing that inclusivity to the city. When people see me, they know I can fight, but they also know, like, as far as boxing and all of the social characteristics that come with it.
I mean, from just based off these few minutes talking to you, it sounds like your passion is more in bringing boxing to the community of Chicago more than it is your own professional career.
It might come off that way in a sense, but I know I'm a good fighter. It's not something that I necessarily want to brag or boast on. I definitely appreciate y'all for having me on this platform, so I want to speak to that too. But I think I'm one of the greatest fighters in this city, if not around everywhere I've been. I fought in Missouri. I fought in. I've been able to train in Miami, Florida, and of course throughout the city of Chicago.
No, I was gonna say, I feel like maybe you being able to put on for the city and give back through boxing, you know, is gonna come through your professional career. Like you talking about opening up a gym, but you probably won't be able to do that until you get to where you need to get to within your own career.
Right? Very true. Very true. I think that's kind of a back burner focus. I do some personal training, group trainings, and public speakings now. But even with that, I know for sure, as far as when it's fighting mode or it's fighting time, a lot of that stuff takes a back burner because the focus is the fight. The focus is building the long game.
So now I ain't trying to be messy, but you know, one thing I hear commonly out here is that nobody fuck with each other within Chicago boxing. That trainers won't work with other trainers, you know, and when I hear those things, it's like, damn, it's already limited sparring, limited work in the city. So is that the case for you at least?
Yes and no. I see these same things, but I've been able to kind of muster relationships with guys. I've been able to check in at certain gyms. I get invites to certain gyms. As far as training, I think I have a great community of fighters. Speaking of the Bobby Hicks card that just happened, I know several of the fighters that fought on that card. I used to train with them. Maybe upon my last showing, I was working with guys from that camp. And then we have some key fighters like y'all mentioned throughout the city. So I've been able to kind of pull my resources along, and I have a great coach team that is able to introduce me with other coaches and fighters. But Chicago is really a segregated area, so again, I understand the privilege that I have to maneuver in a lot of these spaces and then actually show my skill in a lot of these spaces, respect and honor that too. So I can work in some of these gyms.
Champ, so who's your manager and promoter, if any?
Right now, my manager and promoter is Julio. He's running the Hard War Banger card. So I'll be fighting August 26th in the city.
And how'd you come across Julio and what other fighters has he dealt with?
Honestly, an interesting start. So early on in my amateur career, I met Julio. He was promoting amateur cards, doing amateur fights, and I understood his long game was professional road. So he gave me a few offers early on in amateur career, and I was able to do them on his card, and we continued working. We were able to build a great relationship as well as a great business relationship. So I continued doing shows with him. When I was turning pro around that COVID period, there was a lot not happening or getting shut down or being forcefully stopped. He was in the process of getting his license for professional showings. He reached out, and I knew I had no problem working with him. I had done cards with him prior before, like I said, in amateurs and with no issues.
How many amateur fights do you have?
About 20. I got close to 20-ish fights. maybe a little bit over 20 something fights. Even speaking of that, I started. Go ahead.
Nah, we didn't. We were letting you finish.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was saying, even speaking of that, I kind of started boxing late. I know I was introduced to the sport mid high school, but I was training, never really got a chance to take a fight. Everybody's like, finish school, do this, finish school. I finished school, I go to college. Still didn't kind of have the gym space. I'm in Missouri now, and I walked into a gym, and they loved me from the first sight. It was Heart of America. And from then I kind of been able to use those same kind of processes and meet gym spaces, or they actually threw me into the fight game early on. They thought I was great. We went to St. Louis and fought in the Golden Gloves. I made it to the finals. And that was kind of the introduction for me.
So at 32, what sort of pace are you trying to have with your professional career?
I think again, with my experience level, and then also maybe not having as much wear and tear, I'm looking to really showcase and do fights throughout the next year. I'm looking to take bigger and better fights. Again, moving back to Chicago in the amateurs, I won about 11, 12 fights, 10 of them by stoppage. And then again, we knew we were going to turn pro. I won the Golden Gloves in 2018. And then kind of had that gap in between around the COVID years. But I feel like I've been able to, through my route, gain a lot of experience and knowledge from fighters around me and above me until I've built this kind of space.
Do you think it's going to be important to get out of the Chicago area to get fights, given that there's not too many cards out here? So, probably to remain active, and especially, like you said, being 32, moving around, fighting in other states and other parts of the country.
Yeah, wholeheartedly. I completely feel that. But on the same token, it's like a double-edged sword. We want to bring boxing to Chicago. I got a lot of support in Chicago. I've also been blessed to travel and live in other spaces. So I have fans in Missouri. I have fans in Miami. I got family in California. I've had offers from other shows in other states. So I know we have the opportunity to do work with other promoters. And I fought in Wisconsin. I fought in Indiana. But again, I want to continue to build here, as well as do shows in other spaces. I've had an offer in LA and things of that nature. So we just want to kind of buckle in on our fights and building up where and how we want to showcase and who we want to work with.
So what do you know about Julio Martinez, your opponent, coming up here on August 26th?
Not too much at the moment. I remember hearing the name. I believe I saw his last fight in Chicago. Again, it was on a Bobby Hicks card. I didn't know he was my opponent at the time, but I helped his opponent get ready for that fight. They went all 4 rounds, so I'm assuming that he's a durable, tough opponent. But I know I fight different. So no disrespect to any of the fighters that I work with or I've been in the ring with. But when you said pace, as far as the fight pace, I'm forward. I'm in your face. I'm coming. When the bell rings.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I said when the bell rings, like it's a different mode. I know I spoke a lot to like the charitable and kind-hearted aspects of everything I want to do, but when I'm in the gym and I'm in the ring, it's a completely different person.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, at what age did you move to Chicago? Because you was born in California,
California,
right?
Correct. I moved to Chicago a little bit before first grade. So I grew up in Chicago.
You was like 4 years old.
Yeah, literally a little bit before first grade. I remember the experience. But and then we moved. I was staying with my auntie. We didn't really have space. And then I moved into the city, and I grew up on 47th in the lake since first grade.
Okay. Yo, so being from Hayward, California originally, a lot of boxers come out of the Bay. Andre Ward, if I'm not mistaken, was born in Hayward.
I didn't know that. Okay.
I might be, but I feel like let me look it up. But that being said, has it ever even crossed your mind to go back to the Bay, at least to get some work with all the talent that's come out of the Bay?
Yes. I know life kind of has you bouncing around, so it's a lot of spaces I've been wanting to go back to, but I've never actually gotten a chance to train in California or the Bay. So that's actually big on my list. I still got family out there. I would love to travel and do some work in the Bay, California in general.
Champ, so I wanted to ask about the fact that your opponent is 12 years younger than you. That's a whole lot of years. That's a whole lot of youth. You already called him durable. Is that playing in the back of your mind? Does that matter at all?
Not at all. It doesn't matter to me. Not at all. Again, outside of the personal boxing work I do, I also work with other people all throughout this city. I fought with Golden Glove champs and amateurs as young as you can think, and I've worked with guys as old as 50. So there's a range of people that I check in with. But when it comes to the youth and the endurance and being durable, I think I hold that still. A lot of these guys are 21, 18, whatever it is, 24. And honestly, again, when I speak to my pace and my fighting style, it's a little different. They like, you ain't from here, are you? And everybody assumes that I'm fighting from somewhere else or whatnot because of my style of fight. So those things don't really worry me. Well, not at this stage of the game.
Those are.
So
go ahead.
I just want to go back. So no, Dre wasn't born in Hayward, but he was raised in Hayward. So okay. He grew up in Hayward. He was born in I think it says San Francisco, but yeah, he was raised
in the Bay.
Hayward, in Hayward specifically. Yep. So shout out to the Bay. Yo, I'm curious. You said something. I know it ain't have shit to do with that, but you said that there's certain people that you check in with. Is it like that to where it's like, oh, I can't go to this part of the city because I'm in this type of neighborhood? You know what I'm saying? Like people talk about. I'm from over east, so when people talk about Uncle Remus, I can't relate because I wasn't going out west to the PDs.
Yeah, not until high school was really walking with out west and kind of learn that culture. Right. Like you said, until you kind of experience these things, it's a different world. So, yeah, kind of like you saying, growing up on the South Side, it took a lot of that experience and life happiness to kind of move me around, but it brought me access. So, I used to work out at Simon's Park, which is out west. I frequent Humble Park, which is kind of like a home gym for me. You'll see a poster up there of me in Humble Park. I got some real dog fighters that have transferred over to Garfield Park, and I know they do great work over there. Again, I'm at Davis Square, another Park District facility. So there are spaces up north. I've been able to train and work in Loyola Park District facility. So I've been able to kind of check in even with private and public gyms, depending on the relation. But I also know, like you're saying, the check-in thing. If you're a fighter, man, at some point, man, I feel like you should just go pop in, even if they don't know you or like you. I mean, some spaces, whether you know them or not, gonna be a doghouse. When you get in there, you gotta showcase.
I feel like when it comes to this, you got, especially in a city like this, you got to be able to move around wherever.
Yeah, I've been able to work out in Indiana. They have a great team out there as well, Hammond, Indiana. So yeah, when you speak of checking in or being able to move around, I think that access is a big part. And if I didn't know nobody, I probably wouldn't even be able to soak up the game I have.
For sure, champ. For sure. Well, August 26th, you back in the ring. Let the fans know where to follow you, where they can purchase tickets, and be able to watch you fight.
Man, August 26th will be Cicero Stadium. I have a link. You can follow me at life_will or Nino_boxing. Again, Nino_boxing or life_will.
I had one more. I needed to find out why Nino? Where's that come from? Obviously, I'm older, so Nino for me, my mind quickly references Nino Brown.
Exactly. So shout out to my frat, Omega Psi Phi. They found me in college, but I was working several spaces, kind of like the community spirit I was sharing with you guys earlier. I was leading spaces in my college town, and I was working like 6 jobs. And then I also ran this leasing complex. And they was like, you sold everybody a space in here. So off the top of everything I was doing, they named me Nino after I pledged. Nino representing Nino Brown, running the Carter, and that name is kind of stuck as far as with my work ethic and my community base.
I knew there was a story behind it, champ. But give out your social media so that everybody could tune in. Whoever isn't following you, let them know where they get those tickets for your fight. And we appreciate your time.
Thank you, man. Thank you, the Boxing Voice. I can't thank y'all enough for having me. I can't wait for y'all to see some of the work. So you can follow me at Nino_boxing or life_will, and that's on Instagram. We also have the links up for the fight, August 26th. We have an Event Noir link, and that'll be in my bio, as well as if you follow the Industry Shop. They help with a lot of my marketing and promotion, and the link is in their bio as well.
All right, champ.
Nino,
appreciate
enjoy
it.
the day, champ. We locked in August 26th.
Thank y'all again. The Boxing Voice next. Mario, I appreciate y'all. I can't wait to chop it up with y'all again. Can't wait till y'all see what I do.
Mario was on yesterday. This is actually Danny from Chicago.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
All right, champ.
All right, guys.
What up, YouTube family? Don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Help us get to that 1 million subscribers. We're on the road to 1 million. And obviously, we have other great content on our Patreon channel. So since this video is over, head on over to our Patreon and check out all the exclusive content or right here on our YouTube members.